You're listening to the Night Demon Network. Go to nightdemon.net/subscriber to unlock more exclusive content.
Every weeknight, it's Buzz After Dark.
You like that?
With Eric Steele.
Hang out with me Monday through Friday from 7 to midnight for the Buzz After Dark. It's kind of like the Titanic, except instead of 3 hours to sink, it takes 5 hours.
Freaks come out at night, that's for sure. The Buzz After Dark. After Dark.
All night long.
Awesome tunes, clothing optional.
You enjoyed the ride.
Weeknight 7 to midnight on 102.9 The Buzz. Bill's Rock Station.
Hello and welcome to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. I'm your host, Nesbitt. The band constantly gets asked questions on social media and through email. They even have an email address, askthedemon@nightdemon.net, specifically for questions for the band. Every so often, they take time and answer some of them. So here's the answers to the questions that you, the fans, have been asking. Also, stay tuned to the end of the podcast for a special contest for subscribers. This is episode number 19, Ask the Demon. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into the first question. This is from Davina Dooman on Facebook. She says, with the pandemic and having downtime due to not touring, have you guys been getting more material together? The 45s are great, but a full album in the near future would be fantastic.
Hey, Davina. Good questions here. Davina is a good friend and fan from Ohio. She actually has a pretty awesome Black Widow tattoo on her forearm. I think we put that up in the subscriber section. Yeah, well, with the pandemic, I mean, obviously, I wouldn't call it downtime. It's just time off of touring. We've been fortunate enough to get together quite often and do some recording. As far as the record goes, we've still yet to decide on some things, but we will be making an announcement soon about that.
Yes, we've been working on more material. At this point, I can't really say too much, but be prepared for something new in the new year, as well as the 45s. And we're also working on other music as well. So we would like to have, at least a full length and maybe another one by the end of next year. At least that's what I think. We'll see about that.
The full album is definitely in the very near future. We're working on that as we speak. There really isn't anything that we don't do with using our time wisely. So any chance we get, we're making sure that we're putting together the best Night Demon we can. And that's why we're doing this podcast, and that's why we're doing these questions, is to keep everything relevant as much as possible during these hard times. But the new album's definitely coming out, and we are working on new material.
When is the new album coming out? Again, well, we'll answer this again here as many times as we need to, but tune into the podcast on the January 1st, 2021 episode, and we're going to talk a little bit about it. We're going to let you guys in on what our plans are.
We actually got a lot of questions that were all kind of variations on when is the new album coming out and is there a new album? So I'll let Jarvis talk about it one last time.
New album soon. Okay, that is the burning question that everybody wants to know. I'm just going to say, tune into the podcast on January 1st. We have a special year-end review episode, and we will be announcing something that day. That's what I can say.
So it sounds like big news as far as new material from Night Demon. In the new year, tune in to the January 1st, New Year's Day episode of this podcast and get the inside scoop. Hear it here first. So Davina, she goes on to ask, how did Dusty hook up with the band since he's from Pennsylvania and everyone else is in California? I was always curious how this happened. Well, I'll let the guys explain.
As far as Dusty coming to California, I'm sure he can answer that better. But he was in a band called New Liberty that lived in Philadelphia. And those guys they took the plunge, the rock star dream, I guess you could say. They quit their jobs and they loaded up in an RV and headed for Hollywood. I think when they got to the Sunset Strip, it wasn't what they had pictured. But nonetheless, those guys hung around, and I'm glad that happened because that's how we have them here in this band.
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I'll give you my version of it. He was in a band called New Liberty out in Pennsylvania with 3 other crazy guys who at one point decided to pack up and sell everything that they had and move to California to chase their dreams. In doing that, they met some people along the way who knew me. And basically, through a mutual friend, he sent them my way because I had just opened my new studio. And these guys were totally, kind of like into the 80s kind of hair metal rock sound. And of course, me being a rocker myself and loving the production of those albums, he told them that you guys have to go to Ventura and meet this guy Armand. He's perfect for you guys. So lo and behold, they came here and I recorded a demo from that for them, a 3-song demo. And the guys ended up basically moving out here. Their original guitar player decided not to do the full move, so he quit the band and went back home. And meanwhile, the guys, Dusty and Willie Love and Shane Mack, were pretty much living in my parking lot in their motorhome because they had nowhere else to go. So since I was still kind of working on my studio, well, I just said, hey, you guys got nothing to do? Well, come in here and let's go to work. So I put them to work. And then as we just, became closer as friends with working on the studio and whatever else, I took them around, introduced them to Ventura. I ended up kind of joining the band. At first, it was kind of like, I'll help you guys write some songs, blah, blah, blah. But turned out I joined the band, and that band was on top in Ventura and Wild for about 3 or 4 years. And then eventually, things happened, kind of fell apart. And Dusty was originally brought in as sort of a session drummer to record on the album songs that would eventually become Curse of the Damned. So there is a whole version of that album that Dusty played drums on that hasn't seen the light of day. It will at some point, I'm sure. But it's pretty cool. It's a completely different recording. The tempos are way different. there's a lot more production on it because that was just kind of my style. So after that, I think he kind of filled in on some shows that the guys had booked because their other drummer, John, decided he didn't want to keep going with the band. And so Dusty just kind of fell right into it. And that's pretty much it.
I moved from Pennsylvania to California in 2010 to look for greener pastures and found them. Pennsylvania isn't really the best place to be able to really make a band happen. It's a harder area to make things work, and being in California gave me the best possible situation in order to make music my career. And I met up with Jarvis and Armand in California through mutual friends, and over time it morphed into Night Demon, and this is what you get now. And it was definitely the right place for me to be in, and definitely opened up the doors to being able to tour and see the world. So it definitely was the right move for me, and I'm currently back in Pennsylvania for a short time until the pandemic starts to kind of loosen its grip on everything. Spent some time with family, which I haven't done in about 13 years, so it's been a nice reset for me, for sure.
So there you have it. That's how Dusty came to be in Night Demon. Armand mentioned something that I kind of want to address, and that is that there's an alternate full version of the Curse of the Damned album. The album that was originally titled Run for Your Life. And there are plans for a deluxe edition of Curse of the Damned in the future that will include the whole Run for Your Life album, those versions that were done with Armand on guitar. So that's something to look forward to at some point in the future. The next question is from Facebook, and it's from Luis. He says, are you coming to the Candelabrum Metal Fest next year?
As far as I know, it's still a plan to come to Mexico and play for all you crazy motherfuckers down there. We love our Mexican fans, and we're really sad that we couldn't make it this year. But believe us, as soon as we're able to do it, we will be down there, because I miss those tacos and cervezas. Órale!
If there's a way to make the gig, we will definitely be there to fill that spot, that's for sure. So we're keeping our fingers crossed that we can do it in the near future and come and rock your face off.
Hey, Luis. Yes, we will be coming to the Candelabrum Fest in Mexico. It is now rescheduled for September 4th for that weekend, 2021. That's the date we're playing, at least. So yes, we will return. We haven't been to Mexico, God, I think since 2016. I may be wrong about that, but it's been a while. We've had a lot of really good success down there, and we love the fans in Mexico. So we will return September 4th, 2021.
So the next question is from Dane V697 on Instagram, and he asks, what are the components required in the spell to summon the Night Demon?
The components required in the spell to summon the demon would probably be a lot of volume, headphones. I think if you listen to our music on headphones and close your eyes and lay down on the floor and draw a pentagram around yourself, that's probably the first step into getting in the zone. And then after that, you just have to listen to the lyrics and kind of channel it, take your own meaning from it, and get into a trance-like meditative state for the Dark Lord to take you the rest of the way.
The components required to summon the Night Demon, I think we just have to continue to be metal as fuck, and the Night Demon just continues to be summoned with that, sticking true to what our mission statement is, and that is to destroy every single stage that we step foot on. So the Night Demon just kind of is the catalyst of that.
What are the components required in the spell to summon the demon? Well, I don't know. He just seems to show up whenever he wants, but it always seems to be during the Chalice. So I don't know. I think it's just a good tempo for an old, decrepit, dead guy, to kind of walk on stage and drink some blood. So yeah, write a song like that, and maybe he'll show up on your doorstep.
What is up, Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast listeners? This is your resident motor mouth, Jarvis Leatherby, telling you about something very, very special here. The Decibel Hall of Fame Anthology Volume 3. This is a book, guys. That's right. We all know Decibel Magazine as the #1 metal magazine in North America for many years running. But you know what? They also have a fucking killer book series, okay? I want to tell you about this. The Decibel Hall of Fame Anthology Volume 3. This limited edition hardcover includes 25 Hall of Fame stories from Decibel's revered monthly series of artist interviews on the making of their classic extreme music albums. Featured in this book are stories behind classic albums such as Stained Class by Judas Priest, Apocalyptic Raids from our good buddy Tom Warrior's Hellhammer, Pleasure to Kill from Teutonic German terror creator, Court in the Act from the legendary new wave of British heavy metal gods Satan, and of course, Abigail from the legendary King Diamond. And last but not least, Night Demon's personal favorite, Heartwork from the only other band from Liverpool, Carcass. So guys, please head on over right now to store.decibelmagazine.com and grab a copy to read the definite stories of heavy metal's definitive albums. Put in the promo code Night Demon upon checkout to receive 10% off. That's Night Demon, one word, all capital letters. Get your 10%, store.decibelmagazine.com. While you're there, guys, go ahead and grab a subscription of the Mag 2. They've got a great vinyl flexi series. Do yourselves a favor here. Get on the level. Store.decibelmagazine.com. Promo code Night Demon. See ya.
Next question is from Disney. He asks, will there be a box to hold the recent 7-inch releases? And that's a very cool question. I would love to have a box to put all these singles in.
Will there be plans to release a box to hold the 7 inches? Well, we did 5 7-inches in 2020. To be honest, we had plans for a lot more, but the COVID thing did come into play, and then we're kind of weighing back and forth. How many singles are we going to do? Do we do another record? What's cohesive? What's not? But actually, we did have the idea when we were going to do 8 singles originally to have a box that holds them all. We're still dealing with the Visteria issue and trying to find those lost singles. So that's kind of first to kind of get that to the fans. But a box would be cool, and we may make something like that. My only concern is that the 7 inches are no longer available. They sold out so fast. I think it would be a limited run of the box, and we wouldn't be able to stuff them with the singles. So it'd be an empty box. Would you guys buy that?
I think there'd be a lot of people who would buy a box to put these 7 inches in. And I'd love to see the artwork you come up with if you made a box like that. Next question, are there plans for a heavy metal heat hot sauce?
Are there any plans for a heavy metal hot sauce? Absolutely, there is. We have a hot sauce in the works currently. It will be released by Hella Hot Sauce out of Oakland, California. They've done a lot of cool stuff for bands, and actually their stuff is in a lot of stores. We're currently working on the artwork. Ross Sewage from Ghoul is doing the artwork, and it's got Rocky pouring out basically fire out of this chalice because this shit's going to be super fucking hot. But from what I hear, it's going to be pretty tasty. So again, the COVID thing kind of put a halt to that because we were going to release our beer this past April for our tour, and then the hot sauce was going to come out in the summer. But so we're kind of waiting on that a little bit. We've got some other stuff to roll out, but really we want to have that to sell on the road. We want to be able to bring it to the fans if it's not going to be distributed worldwide. So keep an eye out for that. Hella Hot Sauce.
So Night Demon Hot Sauce coming out. That's pretty cool. That's cool news. Next question is from Dave Wright, and he asks, who's the D&D nerd? Someone has to be, right? Flight of the Manticore. Asking because even though I was hooked before I got any of the albums, seeing a reference to an obscure bit of European folklore, which is mainly known to D&D people today, got me even more excited.
Hey, Dave, D&D nerds in the band, zero. Armand used to play in the band Gygax, which is entirely based around D&D. However, I think maybe he played once just because he was in the band. I don't know. He could probably answer that better than me, but there are no D&D nerds in this band, unfortunately. Sorry. It's just not our thing. I've never played the game in my life, to be honest. But if you want to check out some D&D inspired metal, definitely check out Gygax, and also check out the band Visigoth. They have a song called Dungeon Master. That'll wet your whistle there.
I never really played D&D. I don't know about the other guys, but I definitely was into like the fantasy, like Lord of the Rings kind of shit and all that. I loved like He-Man growing up and all that kind of stuff. Huge Star Wars fan. The Manticore thing, I'm not sure where that came from. That's a Jarvis question, but it's a pretty rad beast. I guess it's some kind of like I think it's sort of a lion with wings or something like that. But yeah.
So I looked up a manticore online. It's the head of a man, the body of a lion, and the tail of a scorpion. So that's a pretty badass thing to name your instrumental metal track after. So Dave, I hope that answers your question. And to continue on with your question, since you seem to be into D&D, check out the band Gygax, named after Gary Gygax, the inventor of Dungeons and Dragons. The first album, Critical Hits. Armand's the guitar player, and there's some really great playing on that album. It kicks ass. The first Gygax album, totally worth checking out. Next question is from Dragstrip76, and he says, any chance you'll ever get out here to Australia to play?
Australia. We would love to play in Australia. One day, I would imagine it would be probably the same time that we make it to Japan. The Japan thing seems to be tied into with Australia. Seems like when bands go to Japan, it's just it's kind of on the way to go hit Australia as well. So hopefully that'll be happening. I don't know about next year or the year after, but I mean, that's, for me, it's a bucket list place. I really want to go to Australia. I have family in Australia, so I'd love to play there for all you crazy Aussies.
Australia. Yes, there is a chance we will get to Australia. We were actually talking about doing that right before the pandemic hit, but even after that, we've still been in conversations with people about it. I think it's something that we'd combo with Japan and Asia, but I'm not quite sure yet. It's one of the places that we've never been, and we really do want to come out there. So if you yourself know any promoters that want to bring us out, aside from the people we've already been talking to, please just ring their bell and have them ring ours.
Next question, A Sea of Trees asks, what's your favorite 80s horror movie?
Well, I think we answered those questions not too long ago, but my favorite 80s horror movie, I actually just saw Night of the Demons again, which I haven't seen in a long time, and that was pretty classic. So I would have to say at this very moment, because I've seen it recently again, Night of the Demons. So I'm going to stick with that.
My favorite 80s horror movie is definitely Fright Night. I believe we did talk about this on the Halloween episode, but I'll revisit this. I mean, what a great film. It's got a great cast, Amanda Bierce, William Ragsdale, the legendary Roddy McDowall. Chris Sarandon. It takes place in a suburban neighborhood and revolves around a few high school kids where a vampire moves in next door. But the cinematography is great. It is a little campy, but the funniness adds to it. There's still some parts in it that will scare the living shit out of you. But it's a movie that I could just watch over and over again. The soundtrack is pretty awesome. And it's just got everything you could want in an 80s horror movie. Fright Night.
Again, I'm going to go back to Poltergeist. That one just always did something for me.
That's a cool question. If you want to hear more about the guys in Night Demon and their picks for best horror movies or their favorite horror movies, episode 14, the Halloween special, it's a 2.5 hour special all about Halloween and horror. 2 hours and 8 minutes into that episode, the guys all run through their top 5 horror movies of all time. So if you want more information on that, 2 hours and 8 minutes in, episode 14. Next question. What is your dream tour with active bands? How about with bands that no longer exist? That's a good one.
Dream tour with active bands. Well, I would think my personal dream tour with an active band would be a toss-up of Metallica and Iron Maiden. I'm really into both of those bands, and I think the other two guys would agree with me when it comes to that. So I think if we had a chance to tour with Metallica or Maiden or both, we would definitely jump on it. Bands that no longer exist, I would have loved to tour with Black Sabbath. They kind of still exist, but not really. So I would want to tour with Sabbath.
What's our dream tour? What are the bands that we would die to tour with? Obviously, the big guys, Metallica, Iron Maiden, Priest. Those are some of our biggest influences that are still around, and we would love to have a shot to share the stage with them, or at least prime the audience for their magnificent performances. And aside from just being a selfish thing, that would be just a bucket list dream thing for us, I really do feel that the fans of these bands that pay high prices for these tickets deserve to see a band like Night Demon, even if it wasn't us, even if it was just a band, one of our peers, that are really carrying the torch for true metal. I think that there's a very mainstream audience now that comes to see these bands, and they're being subjected to a lot of mainstream stuff in the fact of support acts. And no disrespect to those bands, but I do know personally that most people that go to see these bands, they don't care about the opening acts because of that. And some people will show up and not know who these bands are, and I see them. They sit there for one song, and then they're like, okay, I'm going to go get beer until the headliner comes on, because this just isn't doing anything for me. So if you can get a band like Night Demon to tour with bands like that and really give the fans some hope for the future, and a newer, younger band that they can trust to guide them in their heavy metal quest when these other bands are gone.
I think a killer tour would be Night Demon, Midnight, and Haunt. How about that? That's a pretty good lineup. And maybe, I always thought it'd be amazing to tour with somebody like Metallica, Maiden. I mean, Maiden would be fucking great, I just don't know if those kind of... It's weird. It seems like those bands just they don't really help out the little guy anymore. I don't know what happened with them, but believe me, we've tried many times and put it out there many ways, and we've gotten really close. And I guess there's there's always a chance still. Bands that no longer exist. How about the original Danzig lineup with Chuck Biscuits, John Christ, and Eerie Von? That would be a killer fucking tour. Danzig and Night Demon. Hell yeah. Let's do that. And, if Thin Lizzy were alive.
When talking about a band that's not around that we would love to tour with, definitely Black Sabbath. I did get to see them on their final tour, which was awesome, but it would just be so great for that to happen. And you know what? All those guys are still alive, and we know that, Ozzy's retired how many times now? Black Sabbath's broken up how many times? Never say never and never say die.
Man, going back to what Armand said, Night Demon opening for Danzig, that would be like a match made in hell. I think it'd be pretty awesome. Next question. What are your most underrated metal albums?
My most underrated metal albums would have to be Riot, Fire Down Under. That's going to be at the top of my list. Those guys really deserve a lot of credit. They've had a lot of different waves throughout their career, but that first lineup, well, it's actually not even the first lineup, but that's like what you would call the prime lineup, which was on the Fire Down Under record. It's just amazing. That record is insanely influential on this band, and once you hear it, you'll definitely realize that. But they are, in my mind, from that era, the greatest American heavy metal band. So instead of just rattling off a bunch of underrated records, I'm just going to stick with that one for now, because I think it's so important, and I think everybody really needs to go and listen to that.
I'm going to stick with something that I would put in my wheelhouse of terrible bands that I love. So an underrated metal album for me, I'm going to say Cinderella's Long Cold Winter. It's not really a metal album. It's more of like a hard rock, bluesish type record. But I love that album from start to finish. And Cinderella doesn't get the props that they deserve, being that they got caught up in the hair metal scene. And, you know, for good reason. But I'm going to say that's my underrated metal album.
Hey guys, Jarvis jumping in here. I want to tell you about Shadow Kingdom Records. Shadow Kingdom was the first domestic label to release Night Demon on CD. They put out the EP in 2013, and they also released a vinyl version of Live Darkness. Listen, you guys need to get your ass to the Shadow Kingdom Records store, okay? Right now, they're offering 10% off for all Night Demon Heavy Metal podcast listeners. Just go to the website, put in the code NIGHTDEMON10. That's Night Demon 10, all capital letters, Night Demon 10. No spaces. Put that promo code in upon checkout to get 10% off. Right now, guys, they have the Bloodstar 7-inch, which has sold over 1,500 copies, and these guys cannot hold on to it. So this next pressing, you want to get that before it goes out, okay? Also, SKR Compilation Volume 1. Guys, this is free on Bandcamp. They're giving it away for free. So not only are you going to go to ShadowKingdomRecords.com and put in the code, all capital letters, no spaces, Night Demon 10 upon checkout, you're also going to go to their Bandcamp site and get this compilation for free. You're going to hear tons of fantastic fucking heavy metal. If you love us, you're going to love this label. Check it out, ShadowKingdomRecords.com. Put in the promo code NIGHTDEMON10 and receive 10% off of your entire order. Do it.
This next question I already briefly addressed, but we'll get into this one. With all the additional material on the podcast subscription, any future plans for album deluxe box sets?
When talking about all of the bonus material we have, all of the content that we have for the subscriber section, that's a really good question. Yeah, this stuff just keeps accumulating. So there's definitely a possibility in the future to put all of this stuff on some kind of physical medium. But for now, we're just letting it grow. It's really amazing to see how much content and how much stuff this band really has. I'm really glad that we saved all this stuff. Most of it is just sitting in a very large locked vault at our headquarters. And, I was just kind of thinking about it before this podcast even started. Like, what's going to happen with all this stuff? You know, if I die, like, who's going to do something with this? Are people going to know what's what or where to look? So it's been nice having this time during this pandemic to be able to bring you guys these podcast episodes, but also to be able to dig deep into the band's history and archive all of the physical goods and all of the photos and the videos and the demos and all this stuff, and have it all in one place for all of you diehard fans out there.
Oh, absolutely. That's something we're consciously working on, and we will put something out in the future for sure.
Yeah, there's definitely plans for album box sets for sure. I mean, there's a ton of stuff for Curse of the Damned. I'm not really sure how much stuff there is out there in the archives for the original EP. But yeah, there's definitely, like I mentioned, the Curse of the Damned is a whole nother version of that album, minus the songs Heavy Metal Heat. I think, I'm not sure, there's one more. Oh, Heavy Metal Heat and Mastermind were written after the fact. So the original version of Curse of the Damned that was recorded with me has all the songs except Mastermind or Screams in the Night.
This next question is kind of on the same topic. It's from Paul Garnett. He says, "Hi, I've been trying to collect the 7 inches on a monthly basis, but being European, they often sell out immediately. Any plans to put together either a limited 12-inch of those B-sides or a CD compilation of the B-sides?" So yeah, any plans on putting all of these B-sides together on some sort of release in the future?
Hey, Paul, great question here about the 7 inches. So, you know, I don't know if this is me being modest or I don't know, but I think when our initial plan releasing the 7 inches this year was like, I mean, I kind of flashed forward in my head and thought, oh shit, man, this is a lot. We're going to be sitting on a lot of records at the end of the year. I hope we can sell them. It was to our pleasant surprise that these things were selling out the day that they went on sale. These songs will be released again on a physical medium. We really can't discuss it at this moment, and we're still honestly a little bit unsure of how we're going to do it. So that's one of the reasons why. As far as a pre-order goes, that is a good idea, because when you do a pre-order, you can kind of gauge what people are going to buy and what they want. However, in the modern era, there's so much uncertainty in the world, and I feel like so many people don't even know if they're going to have a record player in 3 months or a job or be alive or who knows. So our idea with releasing these, especially to counteract the short attention spans of the day, because, you know, you can announce something, you can announce a pre-order and say, hey, these are going to be available in 90 days or whatever. And, you know, by next week, you're already old news. I mean, how long are you going to talk about something before it's even there? The other thing, too, is vinyl plants right now have a 6 or 7 month turnaround time. So doing a pre-order that early is just, it's kind of gouging the fans a little bit, to be honest. And so our idea was, let's not create any hype for any of these singles, and let's just drop them on people the day that they're available, which is great. It's instant gratification. We live in that world now with the whole Amazon delivery thing, Prime delivery, and, you know, all this other stuff. Everything is accessible. Everything is at your fingertips. And if you want it, you get it now. So we wanted to play that game too and not have this thing. I mean, I can only imagine, you know, looking back, if we would have done a pre-order every 5 weeks for a new 7-inch, just a new song, I mean, I think we would have been sitting on a bunch of records at the end of the year. But I do appreciate that so many people do want these things, and we will figure out a cool way to do this. Actually, I think it would be cool if we had a box of 7 inches of all of the singles that the band's released, just a full singles box set. But let's see what happens with that.
Yeah, all the B-sides that we have done over the years as far as the covers go. Would be great to put together as a compilation one day. I know that's something we've kicked around. I don't know if we'll ever go back in and re-record the songs that we've already recorded, but I think it would be kind of cool to just throw those songs together because they have a certain way about them and they sound a certain way, and I don't think we'd be able to really recapture the way that those songs feel. Maybe one day remaster them all together or something. But yeah, I definitely think in the future there will be a compilation of these songs because that's just the type of band that we are.
Yeah, B-side compilation would be pretty cool, especially when you consider that these 5 singles that dropped this year, I mean, most of them sold out the day that they were released. So those B-sides are not very easy to get your hands on. And one thing I will say about Night Demon B-sides is none of them are throwaways. They're all really awesome. I mean, The Sun Goes Down, that Thin Lizzy cover, that was the B-side to Are You Out There? If you want to hear that, it's on the B-side to Are You Out There on the 7-inch single. The only other place you can hear it is in the subscriber section on nightdemon.net, where you can get all these B-sides streaming.
There is a demon among us whose soul belongs in hell, sent here to redeem us. She knows it all too well. He comes and goes, he comes and goes. She knows it all too well. But when I is sitting up, the sun goes down. The sun goes down. Oh, the sun goes down. The sun goes.
Like I said, that song is awesome. When Night Demon does B-sides, they really do a good job. And they give you some quality. It's not like some throwaway B-side. Like, hello, Iron Maiden. Anyway, great question. Here's another one from George Solano. He asks, can we get to know you a bit better as regular dudes? How about telling us your favorite beer or TV show, video game, sports team, stuff like that? Do you guys only live for metal, or do you go hiking, do yoga in your spare time?
Okay, yeah. Well, my favorite beer is Yingling Lager, which I get to drink in Pennsylvania now that I'm here. That's always been my favorite beer. Favorite TV show? Ooh, I don't really watch TV very often, but I love football and the NFL. So I'm a huge Miami Dolphins fan, so I watch them pretty religiously every week if I can. If I were to play a video game, it would be Madden. Do I only live for metal? No, I love pro wrestling. I love motorcycles. I love muscle cars. I like riding four-wheelers. I'll go hiking. I'll do yoga. There's a lot of things that I'll do just to do them, to stay active, because I'm a very active person. So, yeah, we're not just like these metal guys that, lock ourselves in the room and, just are allergic to the sun. It's pretty, it's quite the opposite. Since I've been in Pennsylvania, I've been pretty active on my property at home. There's always something to do. So I love the outside and I love extracurricular activities. Good question.
All right, I want to get to know us as regular dudes. We're not regular dudes. We're weirdos. But, all right, yeah, favorite beer. All right, my favorite cheap beer, I'll go for Modelo or Coors Light, depending on my mood. If it's a nice day out, it's a Modelo with some lime. Michelada, I'm a fan of the Mexican-style beer, with the clamato in it and all that. I love a good michelada. On a colder night in Europe, I love me a good Guinness. So I like dark beers as well. I like all kinds of beer. I don't know. Anything but an IPA. I don't like IPAs. Sorry. Oh, TV show. Fuck. Well, one of my favorite all-time TV shows growing up was definitely like the A-Team, man. I love that shit. Newer shows, 24. Kiefer Sutherland, amazing show. There's like 9 seasons of it. He plays he works for like this government agency called CTU, the Counterterrorism Unit. It's all about terrorism and all that kind of shit. It was big in the early 2000s after 9/11 and all that. So they definitely played on all those themes that were going around. And he's just a fucking badass in the show. I highly recommend it. Check it out. 24. Yeah, each episode is 1 hour in one day. So the whole season, each season is 24 episodes, each episode representing 1 hour in the day. So it's fucking insane. All the shit that happens in one day. And I mean, from how the season starts to the end, it's like a completely different thing by the time you get to the end of the season. Highly recommend it. Check it out. 24. Sports team. I'm not really into sports anymore, but growing up, basketball, it was the Bulls. I was a huge Bulls fan. Lakers. Still down with the Lakers these days. Football, nah, never really cared much. Baseball, I was a fan of the Oakland A's when I was growing up. I mainly live for metal, but I do have to stretch once in a while because if I don't, I can't play metal and run around the stage like I'd like to. So yes, heavy metal yoga in my spare time. I've also been training with a friend who does kind of like an MMA thing. And that's been pretty interesting, getting into a little boxing, mix of jiu-jitsu, sparring, just kind of a little bit of everything. So don't fuck with me. By the time we get back on the road next year, I'm going to be a mean, lean motherfucker. Yeah, maybe. If I could stick with it. That's the hard part.
Okay, George wants to get to know us a little better as regular dudes. Well, I guess without disclosing too much of super personal stuff, okay, he asked favorite beer or TV show. I don't really drink anymore, but if I am going to have a beer, I want it to be something really good. I really like Belgian ales. Delirium is one of my favorite beers. I have a couple more, but I can't pronounce them correctly, and our Belgian friends are going to get pretty upset. But I would say Belgian beer is my favorite. Sorry, German guys. Sorry, California IPA guys. But Belgian beer is definitely my thing. Favorite TV show? Twilight Zone, for sure. What a great fucking show. Take a listen to The Howling Man off our album Curse of the Damned. That's written directly after an episode of the same name. I mean, for 22 minutes of running time, these are the greatest stories that still hold up to today. They're scary as fuck. There's a lot of cultural things that they hit on that still haven't changed, that are, I mean, in today's short attention span, I highly recommend it. Just watch an episode of Twilight Zone a day, and it'll get you thinking about things. Video games, I don't play video games anymore, but I did buy a PlayStation 2 in the early 2000s when Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out. I just had a really good time. I just bought the system, and I bought that one game, and that was it. And I just played that until I couldn't play it anymore, and then I just decided I need to play some more music. Favorite sports team? Well, our Los Angeles Lakers won the title this year, which I'm really happy about. I'm a big NBA basketball fan. Been my whole life, and I played basketball in high school, and had a pretty good basketball career. I'm actually pretty good, or I was good. But definitely the Lakers, my favorite sports team. And for NFL football, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. A lot of people hate on me for that, but it's kind of a family thing. The Lakers and the Cowboys have been in my family since before I was born. Do we live only for metal, or do you go hiking and do yoga in spare time? I actually do yoga as many days as I can. I'm on the DDP yoga program, which is the Diamond Dallas Page. It's called DDPY, Diamond Dallas Page. He was an ex-pro wrestler, but he came up with this yoga system that's pretty cool. It's like a mix of physical therapy and yoga moves. So it's not as kind of like Crystal Twinkie stuff. It's a little tougher, but it's really good to just stretch your body out and oxygenate your body with this stuff, especially with the high intensity that we have on stage and all of the neck problems I have from headbanging. So thank you, Diamond Dallas Page. You've been saving my body. Hiking, I run every day for 2.5 miles. Yeah, hiking, I like to go hiking if I'm with somebody. I don't do solo hikes. I think that's just weird. Even though I carry a knife with me everywhere I go, I just have a bad sense of direction and I fear getting lost. So if anybody wants to do a hike with me, I need a buddy.
So this next question is from Paul Lacayo. Now, I know Paul from my old podcast. He's a huge Iron Maiden fan and a huge Night Demon fan. And this is a long email, so I'm going to kind of paraphrase what he's asking. But he says, I absolutely love your albums, artwork, songs, and your drive and passion for being the next greatest heavy metal band. You've easily got my vote for being the literal next Iron Maiden, and you've got plenty to back that up. Then he goes on to say, I think you guys would be the perfect opening act for Iron Maiden once the pandemic is over. It would be a fantastic passing of the torch moment in metal history from one generation of metal to the next. One thing that's been on my mind for a while is that I respectfully would like to begin a petition for you guys to open for Iron Maiden on either a US or world tour. However, my only hang-up is that I have absolutely no idea who the best person or organization to send it to gain traction would be. So my question would be, if there's a festival organizer, tour organizer, or anyone high up in the industry, would you happen to have a contact info or email that I could get in touch with to start this petition? So that's a petition that I would definitely sign. I would love to see Night Demon open for Iron Maiden. I think it'd be a perfect fit. I agree with Paul. I also wouldn't have to sit through another Raven Age set, which I've sat through many.
Hey, Paul. Wow, man. Thank you so much. I mean, that's just such a great sentiment that you feel that way about us. And everything that you just wrote into us, I mean, really makes me feel so good already. And it makes what we do really worth it. So I really do appreciate that. You know, of course we want to open for Iron Maiden. I mean, I would say that that's probably the number one touring goal for this band. Well, you know, with everything that you just said there, it's like I feel that, you know, true Maiden fans like yourself and true metal fans like yourself and true Night Demon fans like yourself, you know, I feel like we've already won that battle. If there's people out there like you that feel this way, I kind of feel like we've already toured with them. I mean, I'm not going to give up on the idea of doing it, but as far as any kind of validation goes, you writing to us and saying something like that, you know, that a true Maiden fan would pick us as their choice of the opening act. That's what matters more to me than Night Demon playing in front of a bunch of fair weather Maiden fans that don't even really like metal too much or plan on being part of the scene and are just there because they see it, Rihanna wearing an Iron Maiden t-shirt, stuff like that, you know. But, okay. I've thought about this a bit. To fully answer your question here, I mean, I'm honored that you would want to start a petition for Night Demon to open for Maiden. I mean, I think that's amazing. I don't know specifically how to implement this. But I think the first thing to do, I don't know if you're part of the Maiden fan club, but they put out a magazine quarterly, and there's a lot of stuff featured in that magazine. They feature fans a lot and even other bands. What would be a good first step to that would be to get Night Demon featured in the magazine. So they could talk about the song Made in Hell. I don't know. But the first thing to do would be to write to the fan club. If you want to go further and try and reach their manager, Rod Smallwood, at Sanctuary, I'm sure that information is available online. But whatever you feel comfortable with. And if you can get fans to rally around it, I think it'd be great. It would only happen if you guys, the fans, did that. It wouldn't happen if our band started a petition to tour with Maiden. That would never be taken seriously. And it looks very selfish on our end, and it's kind of unwarranted. But if you guys, the fans of Maiden who are buying the tickets, wanted to see us, it would be an honor coming from you, and it would be more authentic and more legitimate. And, with the internet, there's a very low barrier to entry these days, and the information is definitely out there. So go for it.
How do we get to open for Iron Maiden? Again, believe me, we have tried, and we are very close because we actually have worked with their publicist has worked for us, same publicist. So I don't know, it's one of those things, if he's ever played them for us, talked about us, if we've ever come up. I mean, obviously, it would be cool if they heard the song Made in Hell. That alone would be cool, just to know that they've heard it. Passing of the torch thing. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just seems like they're just hook up their family and friends kind of thing. It's a weird bureaucracy, like with anything, when you get up to that level. It's hard to say how they pick bands. I don't know. But yeah, man, if you have if you want to start a petition, I would gladly support that and help get the word out there. Come on, let's do it. I'm into it.
Yeah, that's a very cool idea. I know for fan club magazine related topics, fanclub@ironmaiden.com. So Paul, if you want to maybe send them a message, maybe about Made in Hell, that'd be very cool. It's a cool idea. I'm on the Maiden fan club forums almost every day. So Paul, if you post something on there, I'll definitely chime in. So yeah, get a petition on the go. See how many people we can get to sign it. So that's it for Ask the Demon Part 2. For bonus content this week, we have something kind of special. We have a contest for subscribers. So subscribers can log into the subscriber section on nightdemon.net and go to the members forum. There's a forum in there named Podcast Contest. So post your name and your favorite episode so far of the podcast, and you'll be entered to win a Night Demon prize. So it's a canvas tote bag with mystery items inside. That's right, mysterious Night Demon items. I don't even know what the contents are of the tote bag. I do have one of these tote bags, though. They're pretty cool. So I don't know what these items are, but they're Night Demon related, so they're going to be cool. I'll be picking a random person that posts. I'll announce the winner on an upcoming episode. So if you want to get in on this contest, head to the forum in the subscriber section on nightdemon.net. And yeah, post your name and your favorite episode of the podcast so far. So we got through a bunch of questions today. I didn't get a chance to get through all of them. They'll have to wait for a future episode. If you have any questions that you want to have answered, ask the demon at nightdemon.net. I don't think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, but I can also be reached at Nesbit, Nesbit, at nightdemon.net. If you have any feedback, questions, or you just want to say hi, you can reach me there. So that's it for this episode. This is Nesbit signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast. Head over to nightdemon.net, click on the subscriber tab, and sign up to access exclusive weekly bonus content. If you would like to donate to support the Night Demon Heavy Metal Podcast, you can do so through PayPal at paypal.me/nightdemonmetal. Additionally, if you have not already done so, please subscribe, like, rate, and review the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Unbearable suspense that keeps you on the edge of an abyss of terror.
Take a cult film odyssey into Cinemadness with Cinematic Void. Based in Los Angeles, Cinematic Void is a film series that specializes in horror and exploitation films. Currently, we are hosting Cinematic Void Up All Night in the Cinemadness movie, a monthly virtual screening series, as well as the Cinematic Void podcast, where we dive deeper into the world of cult cinema. You can find Cinematic Void on the World Wide Web at cinematicvoid.com, as well as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you like what we do, you can support Cinematic Void by joining our Patreon. Until next time, see you in the void.